All right, so, January 20th, 2025, President Trump declares a national emergency along the southern border. And I think we can all agree the decision to deploy 10,000 troops, including a striker brigade, that's a heavy-handed move. But you see, when the drum beats for war, sometimes the dance steps forget the village. Militarizing a civilian area like this, it disrupts lives. These observation posts, patrols, they're not just logistics on paper. They're, real-world disruptions in someone's backyard.
Look, Emeka, I hear you, but come on. We're not exactly talking about someone's backyard here. This is our southern border. It's a battlefield, just not with tanks and trenches. Drug cartels, human smugglers, thousands of illegal crossings. You think CBP and ICE can hold that line solo? No. These troops, they bring muscle to the fight. Observation posts, patrols, logistics. It's how we stay ahead of the enemy.
And yet, Duke, history teaches that military muscle isn't a cure for every ailment. Remember the saying, when the axe comes into the forest, the trees think it's a friend because its handle is wood. These troop deployments may look like they're helping, but they carry risks. You pack an area with uniforms, rifles, and aviation units. It changes the rhythm of daily life, adds fear where there once was peace.
Maybe, but let's not sugarcoat this. Peace? On the border? It hasn't been peaceful in years, Emeka. Fentanyl floods our communities. Cartels act like they own the place. And human trafficking. It's a crisis. These troops are boots on the ground to hold the line when everything else has failed. Tell me you'd rather sit on your hands while our citizens are being overrun by this mess.
Duke, you know I respect strategy, but it's easy to justify a hammer when all you see is nails. Look at the broader implications. Local border communities already feel the squeeze. And troop deployments, historically, they may secure a zone, but the costs ripple far beyond the immediate target. People's livelihoods are caught in the crossfire, and soon those very border communities you're trying to protect, they might turn resentful.
I'm going to disagree there. Border communities, they're getting crushed by this chaos, Emeka. They need security, not soft solutions. You say ripple effects. I say necessary sacrifices. This isn't peacetime. It's a different kind of war, and wars need warriors.
Warriors for a battlefield, yes. But this isn't one. This is a balancing act. Security, yes, but at what cost? You militarize the border and the humanitarian consequences mount. Overpacked detention facilities, broken families. When the soldier fights, who cares for the wounded who are left behind?
Listen, Emeka, I'm not about to lose sleep over traffickers ending up in detainment instead of running free. If this move stops fentanyl from killing even one more kid in Kansas or anywhere in this country, it's worth it. You want to keep the fox out of the henhouse? You raise the walls and post guards. Simple as that.
Perhaps, Duke. But you and I both know nothing is ever quite that simple. These measures, they freeze the flow of people, sure, but they don't solve the root of the crisis. And you'll see, in time, the weight of this decision will go far beyond headlines and statistics.
You raise a fair point, Emeka, but let's talk specifics. Section 2808 of Title 10 gives us the authority to act decisively, to redirect military funds for border construction. This isn't about waiting for perfect solutions, it's about addressing the emergency right now. Defense dollars are there to protect Americans, and today, the border's our emergency battlefield. Fences and barriers save lives. We can't let red tape stand in the way.
And yet, Duke, invoking Section 2808 like this, it feels like cutting corners, doesn't it? Congress holds the purse for a reason. Checks and balances, my friend. You can't patch every hole with duct tape and a declaration. It begs the question, does this overreach come with a price tag we can't afford?
Overreach? Nah, it's decisive action. Look, wartime commanders adapt to the mission, Emeka. You stall on resources, you lose the battle. Same here. We need infrastructure now, not after months of political handshakes. This ain't redecoration, it's fortification. Facts on the ground demand it.
But Duke, the facts on the ground don't justify disregarding protocol. Redirecting military funds. What happens to readiness? What about defense operations abroad? Priorities aren't infinite. When you rob Peter to pay Paul, Peter eventually comes knocking. And in this case, the Pentagon may find itself shortchanged when a true crisis emerges.
Emeka, we've been stretching the defense budget for decades. Let's not pretend. Wars, operations, deterrence, it piles up. This is just the latest call to shift weight. And besides, these funds, they're doing more here, on our soil, than some overseas boondoggle we can pause.
That's a bold justification, Duke. But consider this. Wars without exit strategies bleed assets. And while the border isn't Iraq or Afghanistan, this declaration carries similar risks. An indefinite campaign with no clear metrics for victory. And that, doesn't bode well for sustainability.
Sustainability? Since when is there a scoreboard for national security? You secure the wall, plug the breach, handle the threat. Period. If legal eagles and bean counters start itching over costs, I say let 'em. Our job's keeping America safe, not making accountants happy.
Spoken like a true soldier, but safety without strategy, it's a hollow win. And piling these costs, financially and constitutionally, it sets a precedent no nation can easily walk back from. You know, Duke, where does it end? When do we question effectiveness versus expense?
When it stops working, Emeka. Until then, there's no shame in paying for results. If we hit the brakes every time things get expensive, we'd still be in the Stone Age.
Maybe so. But history also teaches us that emergency measures rarely stay confined to emergencies. The seeds planted today, the fruits won't just be ours to taste. They'll belong to those who come after, and I fear it'll be a bitter harvest. You know, Duke, our last debate on sustainability and national security makes me think about another facet of this issue. The end of that catch-and-release policy, it's led to overcrowded detention centers. Families, kids, asylum seekers, they're packed into what feels like containers of humanity. Tell me, are we addressing one crisis only to create another? What's the cost here, ethically, I mean?
Containers of humanity? Listen, Emeka, these aren't summer camps. These are holding facilities. You catch someone breaking the law, you don't just re-release them like some kind of fish. You detain, process, secure the system, and I'll be real. Detention ain't comfy, but it's a deterrent. Sometimes, you gotta pick the hard road to protect the rest of the trail.
But why should the hard road always be paved with suffering? Look, these centers, they're overcrowded. Families torn apart, limited legal representation. The axe may cut clean, but it still leaves splinters. And Duke, what of the children? Is denying them compassion worth the name of deterrence?
It's not about cruelty, Emeka. It's about reality. You ease up, and what happens? Chaos at the border, more smuggling, more fentanyl, and those advanced surveillance tools, drones, thermal sensors, man, they've got the tech to help CBP stay sharp. We're a step ahead thanks to this, catching them even before they reach the fences.
Oh, the tech certainly aids enforcement, no doubt. But at what cost, Duke? These tools, they disrupt sensitive ecosystems, you know? Drones buzzing through wildlife corridors, barriers blocking animal migration routes. It pains me. Yes, we fortify the border's defense, but nature herself pays the toll.
Emeka, nature pays less of a toll than the American families buried by this opioid crisis. I'll say it again. Sacrifices, my friend. You build barriers, you save lives. Animals? Yeah, they adapt. Humans? Not so much when a cartel's bullets or drugs hit home.
Duke, you paint the picture well, but it's incomplete. It's not just about saving lives today. It's about balance. Balance between security, humanity, and the world we hand to the next generation. When you lean too far into one, the others crumble.
And leaning too far into compassion leaves gaping holes in defenses, Emeka. I get it. Balance, sure. But in a crisis, you react hard and fast. That's how you get results. We can course-correct the broader issues after we've secured the situation.
After we've secured the situation. But Duke, at what point do we step back and realize the emergency measures have become permanent practices? That today's border militarization might shape tomorrow's society? Borders define nations, yes, but they shouldn't divide us in spirit.
And no one's trying to divide us, Emeka. What I'm saying is, you secure the present first. The future will figure itself out as we adapt, adjust, refine. That's what leadership's about. Taking the hits today for a stronger tomorrow.
Stronger, perhaps, but at the cost of what, Duke? Beyond borders, beyond politics, this is a human issue. The drum may herald victory, but are we listening to the song of the wounded left behind?
I'll give you this, Emeka. It's messy. Always is when security and humanity collide. But at the end of the day, we all want the same thing, a safe, strong America. Differences in how we get there, that's why we keep talking.
Ah, Duke, and that's the crux of it. We keep talking. We debate, we differ, but... It's through discussions like this that compromise and progress emerge. And on that note, I think we've laid the table well for our listeners to digest.
Definitely, Emeka. You know, I'll take a hearty debate any day over silence. So to everyone tuning in, thanks for riding along with us as we tackled this national emergency issue. Stay safe, keep informed, and keep asking the tough questions.
Indeed, Duke. Until next time, dear listeners, may your paths be clear, and your walls, be it metaphorical or real, stand firm without fractures. Goodbye for now, from us at National Emergency.